Now at 6, voters head to the polls in Grove on a tax proposition. Plus, shelters in our area open their doors to provide a warm retreat from the weather. And a Joplin hit-and-run incident turns into a fatality.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We're already dealing with wintry weather, but in a matter of days, the temps could drop much lower. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Dow Quick. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, we got the snow for us today. About an inch of snow is what fell in Joplin. Of course, we've done some melting also in Pittsburgh. 2.5 for the season. Had a ½ inch last Friday, ½ inch at the end of November. Average snow for us is 13 inches. I'm forecasting 10 to 13. Last year, we only had 6.5 inches of snow. Now it's much colder today. Look at this. Upper 20s to lower 30s. We have those gusty northwesterly winds, which is going to make it feel even colder as we go through the evening hours as we drop back into the 20s. But here we go again. So let's go into Thursday. Here comes rain. Here comes an Arctic front, snow moving back in on Friday. And then check this out. By the time we get into Saturday morning, temperatures down into the single digits. We're going to be talking more about this moving in here in just a bit.
See you soon. Now, as the temperature drops, the need to find shelter goes up. Medical officials in our area warn of the dangers that can come along with staying outside for too long as the temperature drops. They say the best way to stay warm is to wear plenty of layers. It's also important to stay dry as the moisture will make the cold worse. While taking steps to stay warm, be aware of overheating. That can also be dangerous in these frigid temperatures. Certain populations overall will be most at risk.
Those vulnerable populations are going to be people who are outside excessively. So our homeless population is a population I think about often. Elderly people and children also, they just have smaller vessels in those areas, so they're at increased risk.
We're going to have more with health officials tonight at 10, and we're going to speak with local shelters to see what they're doing for those in need. A number of warming centers will provide shelter in the 4-state area. Chances are you can find an open center near you, but you might want to call ahead just to confirm that they are indeed open. You can also go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, where we have a list of warming centers in Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Just search under the heading List of Warming Centers and Resources for Winter 2023-2024. Voters in Grove, Oklahoma are deciding right now whether to approve a sales tax increase to fund the construction of new police and fire department facilities. The proposal would increase the city's sales tax by 0.6%. The city's been using the current facilities for 40 years. Polls close at 7. We're going to have the results on KOAM News at 9 and 10. The Modoc Nation is one of 20 American tribes and Alaskan Native tribes which will soon receive a grant to go toward language preservation. The Indian Affairs Office of Indian Economic Development announced that it's awarded almost $6 million to revitalize Native languages that are at risk of disappearing due to lack of active users. That program will focus on projects to support a tribal community approach. A local nonprofit is giving a child care facility a massive donation pledge. The Mount Carmel Foundation in Pittsburgh is pledging $100,000 to the Family Resource Center. That money will be used to buy and install playground equipment at a new location the center is building by Via Christi Hospital. But the foundation still has to raise the money. They plan to do that at their 40th annual gala on January 27th. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment has just appointed a new chief medical officer. KDHE names Dr. Derek Totten to the top spot. Totten, a lifelong Kansan, has been at Citizens Health in Colby, Kansas since 2016, practicing full-scope family medicine, including obstetrics, and serving as the medical director for the Rural Health Clinic. Joplin police said the woman hit by a vehicle yesterday has died of her injuries. That crash happened around 6 p.m. last night near West 7th and Gray Avenue. Authorities say a female pedestrian was hit by a dark-colored SUV, which then fled the scene. First responders found the woman lying in the road, unresponsive, rushed her to the hospital. This morning, the victim died due to injuries from that crash. Authorities have not yet released that woman's identity. Drivers on Zora in Joplin are advised to look for a detour starting tomorrow. Due to a water leak, Zora Avenue will be reduced to one lane with flaggers near Myrtle Road, just east of Rangeline Road. The closure is anticipated to begin after tomorrow morning's peak traffic. The duration of the closure will depend on the severity of the water leak, which will not be known until the line is excavated. Later in sports, some big news for NBA fans here in the Four States. John has details concerning television coverage for the Oklahoma Thunder. And that's coming up in just a few minutes. But first, the fate of a more than 100-year-old school in southwest Missouri hangs in the balance. The future of a more than century-year-old Springfield Elementary School is up in the air. Reporter Tarmel Odell spoke with parents and the school district about the emotional decision.
Really thinking about the kids in this neighborhood, like this is a pretty low-income area. We can't afford to be driving out to wherever they would have to go to school now all of a sudden instead of being able to just walk down the road to that school.
Wade Calvert has a student enrolled in Robertson Elementary, but because of his son's special needs, he drives him each day to Truman, about 2 miles away. He says building in the same spot might be the answer he needs.
Like the rebuilding part would hopefully, if they did that, maybe they would have classes that they could offer my son. He has to go to Truman because they don't have the special needs classes he needs at Robertson, so we have to go further away to get him to school every day.
Robertson Elementary is the oldest operating school in the Springfield district.
The Robertson Elementary School was built, the original portion, in 1905, so it's one of the oldest buildings serving Springfield Public Schools, our 12 district. It also has one of the smallest enrollments of any school within Springfield.
Stephen Hall with Springfield Schools says there are fewer than 150 students at Robertson. The building holds 350. One option is to close Robertson and move the kids to Boyd Elementary.
Boyd Elementary was built brand new 2 years ago, and it's about 1.5 miles from where Robertson currently is located. And Boyd is also operating at less than 60% capacity. There's plenty of room for us to welcome the Robertson students.
He added, to build a new school, there will be a $30 million investment.
We've said, do we need to spend $30 million building a new school building in an area where you have a declining enrollment?
Culvert says Robertson has meant a lot to this neighborhood.
The Springfield School Board had planned to meet tonight to hold a public hearing on closing Robertson. That meeting has been postponed due to the weather. Doug has another look at the forecast, and a little bit later, the life of a gifted local athlete is lost too soon. John has the inspiring story of Carly Ann Torren.
Well, of course, we got the rain and we got the snow over the past couple days. We needed both of them because we need the moisture across the region. Rainfall-wise, since midnight, only 2/100 of an inch, but we had an inch of snow. For the month now, almost an inch of rain, which is pretty good. We're doing pretty good as we go into January. 29 Nevada, 31 in Neosho. It's 30 in Parsons. Temperatures, of course, are going to be dropping back as we go through the overnight hours. We do have those northwesterly winds. We're still going to get gusts kind of up there as we go through the next several hours. And then after midnight, they'll start to calm down a little bit. Then they switch out of the south tomorrow and start to pick back up again by tomorrow afternoon. But what this will actually do is warm our temperatures up as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, and you're going to want to enjoy it because we go way down by the time we head into the weekend. As we go through the overnight hours, we slide back through the 20s, eventually into the lower 20s later on tonight. And look at our snowfall. So this lighter blue is mainly an inch or less, and then Pittsburgh about an inch, Joplin about an inch. We had near 2 inches, eastern parts of Barton County, and then of course higher amounts once you get into our northern counties. But this system's out of here, rolling off toward the east, snow across eastern parts of Missouri. Clouds are breaking up, so we're going to have clear skies as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Here's our next storm system already building, which will start to affect us by the time we head into Friday. Look at this. All right, so rain increases Thursday night. This is an Arctic front. Look at the snow again. Same spot as what we got today. As we work into Friday morning, we should get a band of light snow, some light accumulations as we go into Friday morning. Notice the temperatures. So let's go into Saturday morning. We drop into the upper single digits. Saturday, we're only going to go into the 20s for highs, so remember that if you're heading up to Arrowhead. And then on Sunday, look at this. Another batch of light snow drops through. Again, we could get some light accumulations. Notice the temperatures. Sunday afternoon, about 5 degrees. And then once we get into Monday morning, oh gosh, -5, -10 for overnight lows. So this is a really big cold snap, which is going to head toward us. So our winter weather impacts for the weekend, at least a moderate impact for snow. Ice, not a huge problem, but the cold, a high impact. Also, it's going to be windy across the region, which means our wind chills are going to be on the low side. Now, until we get there, it's still going to be cold, but it looks okay. Low to mid 20s for us by morning. We get mostly sunny skies for us tomorrow. Here's about the noon hour, lower 40s. I think most of us, 46, 47, 48 degrees for an afternoon high. And then as we go into Thursday morning, we start in the 20s. Clouds will start to increase once we get into the afternoon. Then here comes the rain by the time we head into Friday night. All right, 44 by noon tomorrow, high temp, 47 degrees. As we look at the next 10 days, we'll have the rain pushing in on Thursday, possible alert day Friday with snow, and then a high of only 22 Saturday, only 16 on Sunday, and a high of only 12 on Monday.
Doug, thanks. The McDonald County Sheriff's Office wants to warn people about an ongoing scam. According to the Sheriff's Office, subjects are calling from this phone number, 888-675-2086, advising the person that they're eligible to receive money. The caller tries to convince the person to allow them to send the money, then asks for personal information along with bank account information so they can make the supposed deposit. Authorities say never share your personal or bank information and notify law enforcement about any calls of this nature. Still ahead, exciting news for Oklahoma City Thunder fans living in the 4 states and how Girard girls basketball is making its 2024 season special. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Hey, welcome into sports. I'm John Dales. It's been about a month and a half since high school basketball tipped off in southeast Kansas, and we're about a month and a half from the playoffs beginning. At Girard High School, this season in particular means just a little bit more for the Lady Trojans. If you've watched a Girard girls basketball game this year, you might notice something different on their jerseys. The team is dedicating its season to a former Trojan from the class of 2010, Carly Twerg.
Carly was part of what were called the Giant Killers. They were a group of kids that came in when I first started coaching, so it was kind of special that we kind of came in together, and it was a new thing. And Carly had the prettiest shots you could ever see, and she spent hours and hours in the gym with no one watching shooting that shot.
Carly and her teammates brought Girard to state for the first time in the program's history. After graduating from Girard, Carly took her next adventure.
She went into biology, the pre-med program, and that was her next thing. She used the same work ethic, the same grit that she had playing basketball, and she transferred it into academics.
In April 2022, while planning to get married, Carly's life took a turn.
She was preparing for their wedding, and she had a mole on the back of her arm. We couldn't even remember it being there, and she had it taken off because she had a strapless dress and she didn't want it shown. And it was like, oh, wait a minute, you need to go see a dermatologist, you need to go see a surgeon, you need to go see a cancer doctor. And it just was like, it's stage 3, and it just kind of blew up.
Carly Twerg died in October of 2023, just over 17 months after her initial diagnosis. In December, when Girard had a ceremony to officially dedicate its season in her honor, her family loved the opportunity for the Trojans to carry on her legacy.
Amazed,
Overwhelmed.
excited, happy. I mean, yeah, I was just like, wow. Brad came to us with all these ideals, and he's like, is that okay? And I'm like, well, sure. I mean, who wouldn't want their daughter to be honored and remembered?
As the Trojans continue their season into the new year.
In order to be a great leader, you have to be able to encourage the rest of your teammates, and not only just encourage them, be able to step up and show them.
There's values of such being a teammate, and you need to cherish those moments. And she was a great person all around, and she really made an impact on Girard.
They take some of the lessons they've learned from number 11 with them. At Girard High School, if you score 1,000 points in a basketball career, you get your picture put on a wall outside the main gym. Tworig is the only member of the 1,000 Points Club to have her teammates featured in her picture. You can read the full story on our website, koamnewsnow.com/sports. Tonight in Kansas, high school basketball, Fort Scott boys and girls hoops each take their undefeated records on the road to Pittsburgh High School. The Purple Dragons tried to spoil their perfect season. Girls playing right now. The boys afterwards at 7:30. We'll have the highlights from the boys game tonight at 10. And exciting news for us here at KOAM. We've entered a partnership with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now you can watch OKC basketball broadcasts here on KOAM, Fox 14, and the 4-state CW. Now here are all the Thunder games on our airwaves for the remainder of the regular season. Your first chance is in 2.5 weeks. OKC heads to New Orleans. You can find this full schedule on the sports page on our website as well. That's koamnewsnow.com/sports. Back to that story about Girard girls basketball. What I find interesting, that team that was named the Giant Killers, they're called that because nobody on their team was taller than 5'7". They finished third in the state that year, though.
Wow. A bunch of Davids up against some Goliaths.
Yeah.
What a beautiful tribute to Carly. We'll be right back. Here's a look at what's coming up on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. We're going to hear from a local shelter and doctor about staying safe in the cold. Plus, how international students at Pitt State are reacting to seeing snow for the first time. And a lot of Americans are seeing insurance premiums skyrocket in the new year. Those stories, a lot more, it's coming up tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Now let's check back with Doug.
Yeah, cold night for us tonight. We're going to drop back into lower 20s, but warmer tomorrow. 47, 53 on Thursday. We are going to get some morning snow showers on Friday. And look at this Arctic air, highs only into lower teens by early next week.
Yeah, those overnight lows potentially dangerous. Final sports notes.
Yeah, Fort Scott basketball had its biggest scare last time out in its undefeated season. Labette County gave them a really good game. We'll see what happens tonight at Pittsburgh.
Look forward to that. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 10. Let's make it a great evening.